Okay, I'm going to read one more. This one's pretty informal, so I'll probably re-record at some point. So, this is from the 6th, about people who say that they talk to galactic consciousness. I'm sure they do, but it's not galactic. It's astral. And a lot of people have never experienced near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, chronic dissociation. I haven't experienced a lot, but I've been through several traumatic events that give me a pretty good idea of how my personal reality is layered. And anything that tells you it's galactic is a group consciousness, which is astral. It may not be demonic, but the idea of the galaxy, in that sense, is to try to explain the type of consciousness. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's an ET. Alright, so I'm going to explain it a little bit. And I'm going to use the term position derivatives, which is to describe position, change in position or speed, and then change in speed, acceleration, well, change in velocity. So those are the three main ones. And then the way I got into it was higher position derivatives, further explain. I have an agenda. This is from like my work in 2010 that I was looking into position derivatives and Lorentz transformations to essentially prove that the light speed barrier is a boiling point. It is not a barrier. And that by showing magnified changes of position derivatives, so a change in acceleration, which is called jerk, that's the fourth. There's fifth and sixth. I can't remember what they're like, spin and jolt and things like that. Basically, my point was to prove that there is a... Great, I'm going to have to keep this up. Oh, fudge. Because this is the first time I'm... And anyway, I have lots of written records of it, but this is the first time I'm publicly putting it out there. You know what, I'm just going to leave it alone. But essentially time is a denominator. It's a way that we divide how we measure physical positions. So it can't be a position itself. It's not the fourth dimension. That's jerk. So, anyway. Well, not really. It's even more complicated than that, but, yeah. Okay. So, people who say that they talk to galactic groups is a huge red flag for me. It's because that is a false light astral device. It is a collective consciousness of people living here, which has been engineered into reflecting back to people what they most want to see. And this is precisely what abusers do when love bombing. They trick you into becoming best friends with yourself, but instead of your actual self, it's a reflection. I guess I should specify sociopathic abusers. So there's nothing wrong with being best friends with yourself, but if being best friends with yourself is a trick, it's not good. Okay. The idea is based on position derivatives, which contain inherent translation errors that can be proven with Lorentz transformations, which actually I did have a couple errors in there. Because acceleration isn't constant when... anyway, doesn't matter. The idea is I am Earth. That's one. My higher self is the solar system and or sun. That's the second. So the highest self, the parent self, the soul path, authority, the collective consciousness of greater awareness is the galaxy. It's a false equivalence. It's a syllogism, which is based on position derivatives, which is therefore inherently flawed. Presence consciousness, collective consciousness. Position, change in speed, or functional magnification. Anything greater than this trinity deforms space-time and description. The fourth dimension isn't time because time is how we measure change in position. It is the arc denominator of physics, but it is not a dimension. Newtonian physics, and Never mind. Newtonian physics is a 17th century math system, which was basically plagiarized from Johannes Kepler. I think that was his first name. Einstein used to work in a patent office. I believe Thomas Edison ripped off people's designs. Newton basically mixed in some outdated esoteric laws with current scientific research done by at least one of his peers. Newtonian physics is flawed. Calculus is linguistically two-dimensional, not three-dimensional. The last time we were developing this math was, to my knowledge, when Greeks were compiling ancient work and that which was going on abroad and at home. However, they used an inclusive counting system rather than exclusive like we used. Maybe when Arab scholars were working was when this changed? I don't know. I'd have to look. In Euro-American culture, we're missing 1. That's also the flaw with the Fibonacci sequence, which should begin 0, 1, 1, 2. There's a place missing. It's missing what I would call a place value. There we go. Addition-based, not decimal. Works by Herodotus, Aristotle, Ptolemy, and on. At some point, the math language had changed. And I think with Ptolemy's Almagest, because that was one of the first times that a Western work was so heavily Eastern influenced. And then as we came out of the scientific dark age in Euro-American culture, they kind of picked up where the Arab scholars had left off. And since we use that numeral system, I'm pretty sure that's when that changed, but I don't know for sure. Essentially, it's not a place value because it's not decimal based, which is like 0, 1, 10, 100, whatever. The position derivatives are off, and that is false light. And because it feels real and familiar, because it is based in what people know, it feels real. So, because we say 2 days from now as the day after tomorrow, any number system that is metered that way is going to feel correct. And so if I said 2 days from now and that was tomorrow, therefore including today, the way the Greeks did it, that would feel wrong. And we would have anyway. That's why Mandela effect became popular, because you can use cognitive dissonance with people by gaslighting them. The real or original math would seem fake because we don't use that number system the same way that if we started using time based in tens or calendars based in 60, we would lose our minds. We're missing a number, and calculus is flawed. It works as a language based on its own axioms, but is flawed when applied to a conscious universe. Since each of us are conscious universes, calculus doesn't speak to us, even if it makes sense. I really need to get this all published. Galactic consciousness as a group, higher self, and group of higher beings is based on conventional and outdated physics and is wrong. Okay, that was kind of a lot. Alright, please forgive my informal video. Just want to start getting some of this stuff out there. Thanks.